Counselor Almond.
Here.
Counselor Smith. Counselor Harden.
I saw him walking
But he's not here, so.
All right.
All right, so you do not have Gwaltney or Harden, correct?
We have three.
You have three, so
we have a
you're
quorum.
holding on the quorum barely.
All right. So the only minutes we have are the October 2nd. Do I have a
Correct.
motion to dispense with the reading and approve them as distributed?
Motion.
Second. Okay, Counselor Smith made the motion, Counselor Allemont seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? Say aye. All opposed by the same sign. That's 3-0. Mr. Harden is here.
Harden's here.
All right. Looking at, let's see, we're gonna take one item out of order. And if Kimley-Horn shows up, let me know.
He's here.
There you are,
Here.
back there. I
They're
didn't
here.
look back there. I was
I was
looking
about to say,
behind me.
they're here.
Okay, so we're gonna take this item and then we'll take the Kimley-Horn item. So, going to new business, 04-10-23, request for consideration of public safety building elevator maintenance, Lieutenant Peterson from the police department. Obviously, this is a request to set up elevator maintenance, maintenance for a new facility, and so my main question is, yes.
Well, maybe my main question is your
Yeah.
question.
Well, the question is, why, number one, why was this not in the budget initially? And secondly, why would we have built the building without a maintenance contract with the elevator?
I mean, because that building
First
is,
question first,
Okay,
when you say initially,
well,
it's in this year's budget. We allotted $21,000 for this maintenance agreement in this year's budget to the maintenance contract.
I think my question is the same as Walter's. This building is, what, 4 years old now?
Almost three.
Oh, almost 3 years old. Why wasn't there a maintenance contract from the very get-go? Because when you build a new building, you always have a maintenance contract for your elevator. To start with. Why wasn't there one to start with, I guess is the question.
It wasn't in last year's.
The Chief Ross probably made that decision. I do know there's some conversation about the building being new, and I guess there wasn't, I can't really speak for him.
Yeah. I got you.
I'm guessing,
You
you
didn't make
probably
that call.
seem like, you know what?
You heard I answer the question.
You know, it seems like we got a brand new building, brand new elevators, we need the contract, but then, and full disclosure, the first couple of years, we actually saved money because we didn't need to use it, but then all of a sudden, these things started breaking down, and there was some other costs that fall into the maintenance agreement as state inspections. Elevators gotta be inspected every year, so, you know, we saved money for the first couple of years, but now it's kinda, it's really like, when these things break, they really break, and the
Well, the first year
proprietary.
you got a warranty.
Yeah, and the proprietary towards Kone, and Kone's the only people that can work on these things, so they kinda had us over a barrel on that.
Meaning you can't get an elevator maintenance contract with one of the other major elevator, Bagby or
Not on this particular new, it was a new.
It has proprietary software.
Yeah, it's all software-driven programs, and they're not gonna sell you their stuff.
you probably should negotiate that up front.
I know.
Yeah, when they
I know
built the
that.
building, that
It was-
probably would've been
We'll buy your.
a more better
Fortunately, it was
solution.
him and not somebody else.
Okay, well, my only comment for the record is, with any new building, this should already be part of the agreement, is to have a service contract for every bit of property within the building. I mean, we've done that with every building that we've.
Especially something like an elevator that
And, yeah.
can break down.
Sure. I'm
And-
guessing whoever was responsible for building the building, they probably hasn't built buildings before.
No, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I don't care, it's a brand new building, you want a maintenance contract
Oh, sure,
in place,
sure.
so that, you know, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, there were, you know, some situations where someone got stuck in the elevator.
Yeah, sure.
Without a cell phone, and I'm glad I was not that person
Unfortunately, it
that
was the
got stuck.
department.
So I don't like to get those, that information reported to me
Sure.
that we've got somebody stuck in the elevator, when we're trying to transport prisoners and all this kind of stuff,
And
so.
unfortunately, I wasn't on the front side of when the building was built and all the paperwork signed, so I can't really say that, but I know moving forward, this is our best position, is get this maintenance agreement so these things don't happen again.
Okay.
Do we know, I don't have it, what the cost of that is?
It's 20,300, I think, and we put an extra 21,000 in our maintenance agreement on this year's budget.
Okay, so this is already budgeted in current budget.
Yes.
So what are we approving then?
We're just approving the execution of the maintenance contract. I guess the mayor will sign that. So I think we're just approving the contract. It's gonna be in Fund 21. It's already in Fund 21.
Well, if
But-
it's already, I don't know that it's in Fund 21. Is it in, did you put it in your general fund maintenance contract?
Yeah, maintenance contract.
It'll be
You put in
it'll be out of
01 or
general
21, 'cause
fund
we
then.
So it's not under the jail fund?
No, sir. Only one elevator is used primarily by the jail. It's a back elevator to transport prisoners.
Does this help?
This encompasses all
contract-
three.
Okay.
It does?
Now, if we need to split up that
Where's
money,
the-
I mean, I don't
where's
know.
my
No, but the
budget?
contract, so the contract will cover
All
both the
three.
elevator, all the
Oh,
elevators,
yes.
okay, okay.
Does
I'll
that
have my
include them
budget.
also going to the state and getting that annual?
See, I answered for chief and we asked and I don't think he didn't email back, so I talked to Robert, we said, we thought you could use jail, but if not, we need to change it to general fund.
I mean, if we want to play a shell game, we want to make it easy on everybody. Wherever the money comes from, that's up to you guys.
Well, no,
but-
it's
Okay.
not a shell game.
I-
The jail fund pays for specific
Can you
expenses.
get your
Yeah, yeah,
budget,
yeah.
please?
I didn't mean that
Can you
derogatory
get your
way. I'm
budget and
saying-
tell me where this is?
In Fund 21, all they're gonna have is jail costs of
I
$100,000.
I wanna know if this is in the
But what I'm telling you,
budget.
all they're gonna have in Fund 21, jail cost, Fund 21 is jail costs, they're not gonna have it itemized. So if you itemize it in contractual services, you did have it in one, unless you have it in that $100,000 jail cost, 'cause they.
No, this was itemized in maintenance.
Then it would've been in 0114.
Yes.
Because the only thing that they put in 21 is just a dollar amount for jail costs, for food and that kind of stuff.
All right, we're gonna come back to this item
It may be dead.
after I get my questions answered.
Because do we need, because one of the elevators does specifically service the jail and is used to transport prisoners, does that make it eligible to be covered under those jail funds? So possibly we would want to break some of that out.
Correct.
Or that would be good question, but I think we
But
probably
we
do
did
need to
copy-
carry this over some.
But this is,
Where's Chief Ross here? We did copy Chief Ross today.
He's not here.
Well, I copied what, Friday, when I asked him?
You copied him Friday, and then you gave me an answer today, and he said, thank you.
Yeah, and I gave him an answer based on Robert and I saying that we thought, because we thought it was the mainly it
I
was the
wasn't
jail
copied on
elevator.
this, so what was the question and what was the answer? What was the question?
What account?
The question is, what account number do I put in the resolution where this money's coming from?
Right,
And
and
I was
so,
given an answer today.
but he didn't answer, so I talked to Robert and I said, well, we thought that it could be used for jail, because we thought it was the one that transported prisoners. And Chief Ross said, thank you, Melody, so I took it that was the one he was.
Okay,
agreeing
I
to.
wanna officially apologize to the finance committee. I wanna officially apologize because I do not know all the information on this item. Before I come into the meeting, I would like to know if an item is budgeted and why, and if it's already if it's already in our budget, I should know that, and I apologize for that. So we'll get to this, hopefully Robert can find
We
this.
tried to with the
And
department
we
head.
will determine.
We did reach out, so we didn't get an answer back.
I understand that. I'm just saying,
Wait a minute, I reached out.
yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Kendrick reached out because he didn't have the
Right.
account number to put in the resolution.
But that's why we were
But
asking the
is
department
it
head what he wanted to
budgeted?
do.
I'm trying to open the budget, but it's corrupted, I guess. The copy I'm trying to open up.
Yes, it is in the 01 General Fund 14 Police elevator budget, $21,000 under maintenance contracts. Okay.
And Lieutenant Peterson, are you saying it's
So
20,300?
it's gonna be the same account number we gave at 01.
But we could say up to 21,000.
Okay, so we're looking for basically an approval to execute the contract, have the mayor sign it.
Okay, can I just ask?
It's already budgeted.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead and
Can I
ask your, go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, you could use it restricted money if you wanted to, but that's up to y'all.
Should we add some of that money take some of that money from the jail fund, or should we just leave it in the general fund?
It's already been budgeted. I
Budgeted, so
say
we just
leave
do
it
it.
alone.
The jail fund
Otherwise,
is
it would've
insolvent.
failed.
Any money you take from the jail fund will have to be a transfer from the general fund.
Okay.
So that's.
So we'll just leave it
would be a
where it
lot
is.
more.
It would
Okay.
normally be what you said, but because of the correction fund has been depleted.
We'll
yes.
just leave it where it is. Okay, so I
But
would
you
make a
want-
motion to approve, the, execution of the elevator maintenance contract as budgeted, from, the general fund police.
I'll second that.
Okay. Moved by Counselor Smith, second by Counselor Harden.
Mike, did you get that's coming out of the general fund 01?
I got it.
He hasn't, all right.
Do you want
It's been
the-
motion seconded. Apologize for my frustration.
But
It's
you are
my
right,
fault
Norman's
though.
gonna be using-
All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed by the same sign. All right, that passes 4-0.
No, 5 to
Thank you
0 'cause
for
they
being
use
here.
it.
Now, did I just hear it was changed to the,
No, we didn't. We left it where it was.
It's right, it's where it was initially budgeted.
And by the way,
Did you vote on that one
it was
too?
5 to
I did.
0 because
You did vote, okay.
Andy's here.
And I found the line item, but it sounds like we
it was,
got it.
20,303 was estimated, so we put 21 in there just to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure we didn't.
Okay, perfect. We're good. Thank you. Now, that's been handled. All right, so let's now go up to, I hope this is not another fun item. 02-10-23, request for permission to submit ATRIPP Grant Application for access management along Highway 31. And we've got Kimley-Horn and Mr. Smith, I guess you'll start.
Yeah, I want to kick it off and turn it over to Clark and Matthew from Kimley-Horn in a second. This conceptual design, and that's all it is at this point, it's just totally conceptual, is the result of an Apple study that was, 20% was paid for by Homewood, the other 80% was paid by the RPC. And so, right now, it's just a study. The goal and the intent is for us to now, at this point, apply for an ATRIPP II Grant Application, which is due in November.
Can I comment on this, just to introduce it? So this came about when, right after the last, when we were all sworn in the last time, and so when we went down to Montgomery, Alex, Patrick, Barry, me, can't remember, Andy, you were there, and we heard from AlDOT, and they talked about this ATRIPP, and it's basically designed for a state highway. It's basically the perfect grant for Homewood. It is a state highway to improve safety, pedestrian access. I know that's not their favorite thing in the world, but it is part of that. That is what it is for. And this is just the perfect road for this. And so I really appreciate the mayor and Cale supporting me on this because we've got safety issues in my mind, especially at Huntington, Lancaster, and the Ponciana sort of weird exchanges. We have, the neighborhood just really wants and would benefit from and uses already, again, Ventura crossing Highway 31. And so I know it's a state highway, but there's a neighborhood right there and people cross all the time.
And also the school.
And the school, that's right. And so, even though I know we've got the tunnel, but this is so far away from the tunnel that, it's needed. And, I personally would love to clean up the, Old Montgomery Highway by me. The north one, but there's not enough right of way for us to do anything fun there. But anyway, I just appreciate you guys, Cale and Patrick, supporting me on this because it's just this grant was made for this, in my opinion. So
Is that adding a sidewalk along 31?
And Clark will talk about exactly what those are. I mean, it's really more for access management than pedestrian improvements.
But with the access management comes pedestrian improvements.
That's right. And it is a competitive grant, so it's not, it's not assured. It's not assured.
On the grant, if we get the ATRIPP grant, is it one we pay the match up front or is it 80-20?
No, neither.
$2 million.
So it's a competitive grant, so the city is gonna offer to pay for design services, which is budgeted for this year.
Just design.
Just design services, and then ATRIPP II grant will pay up to $2 million in construction costs. Is that right, Clark?
That's correct.
And it's an 80-20.
No,
That's what he
$2
literally
million.
just said.
No, the design
Break $2
services
million.
would be kind of like an in-kind match.
Right.
Is it a reimbursement grant?
It is reimbursement.
But the reason why the accounting in me besides city clerks need to know, because of the ARPA money we got, we're having to have a single audit, so we're having to understand exactly what all we're doing, because they're auditing our grants very closely, so, because all of them are different.
I mean, I think that the reimbursement piece of matters too, though, because we'd have to front that money before we get it back. So just as we're planning.
Yeah, we'd have to budget the gross amount with the
Correct.
money coming back in and the revenue side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, first of all, apologize for my voice. Yeah. That's why I sat next to Andy. So bear with me, it should be fine. I know I don't want to take up a ton of time going through this with every minute detail, but I do want to give kind of an overview of what came out from the study. And so I'll kind of start at the top of, we talk about the purpose of this project. The Apple is a planning study, so we're talking conceptual here. We haven't gotten into any sort of survey for the finer design, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But is to look at US 31, starting here at Ventura and going all the way down to Old Montgomery Highway. And there were a couple of goals in that. So one is to improve safety. Two, and part of the safety is pedestrian safety and access. And then the second goal is access management, which can also be safety, but also some, kind of efficiency operational improvements here, right? So the stakeholders involved, the Apple study is through the Regional Planning Commission, who remains fairly neutral in this, and then the city, of course, and then also ALDOT, right, because it is their road. And so we're trying to balance a lot of desires there. And so I'll take you through this, and we'll kind of talk through it. Matthew's going to be driving. We're looking, we kind of this overlaid in Google Earth here. And so a lot of what's happening, some of what's happening are signal operations and changes. So for instance, here at Ventura, we're adding in what we call the flashing yellow arrow signals, which give us a lot more control and allow, at least at certain times of day, for you to kind of turn left when it's clear. So that would be under the flashing yellow arrow. Because of some of the wide and multiple lanes, we would program the controllers where that would not be allowed to be done during like peak hours. So you don't have that situation where there's maybe 3 lanes of cars stacked and another one that's empty and you can't see that car coming. So.
Clark, let me ask a quick question, because I know
Yep.
some of the signals on 31 are ALDOTs, some of them are ALDOTs that we maintain. Will we have to work with them to determine which signals we can affect and which ones we cannot?
Somewhat. So all the signals are the cities that
To
you
maintain.
maintain, but there is the RTOP program, the Regional Traffic Operations Program, that should be doing ongoing maintenance and timing changes. But
Okay.
yeah, all that would be coordinated. And so I'll start at the top and say, hey, we've gone through this whole concept with ALDOT multiple times. And have their, choose my word wisely here,
Okay.
consensus, they're okay, yes.
Yeah,
And the,
blessing, don't say blessing.
yeah, and the process here is that, if the ATRIPP grant is awarded, we'll get into a full design process. It'll follow the ALDOT review process. There will be survey and more information, utility information that could make minor changes here, and also that ALDOT review process could tweak a couple things too.
Okay.
And so the ask today is a resolution to support applying for the
Great.
the grant.
Okay.
Ventura, big change that I think you see are both the sidewalks, the crosswalk across 31, and then the connectivity to the existing sidewalk there on 28th. We're tightening up the intersections a little, improving signal operations for a little more efficiency as well. Matthew, if you want to kind of move, we'll get all the way to the combination of 29th and Hollywood. This intersection is really impactful for the whole corridor. And it's kind of that choke point, if you will, that I'm sure everybody is probably kind of figured out on their own. And really the big thing that's happening here to kind of like help you understand is it comes down to left turns, right? So we only have a single left turn lane in each direction. There's really no option to add dual left turns because on the side streets we're not gonna have 2 receiving lanes, okay? So we're really limited there. And so when you think of 31, that is the big tension along that roadway for moving cars through is trying to give enough time for all these left turners to happen. And a lot of that's happening here. And so one of the strategies we took in this design and thinking kind of holistically was trying to give more opportunities in other places for these left turns to occur to reduce the demand that is happening at this intersection. And so not a whole lot visually is different here. There's a lot of kind of driveway, kind of narrowing of some of these big wide driveways, trying to push those accesses away from the intersection. You can see, I believe it's the chevron at the top of the sheet, closing that driveway that's closest and pushing that down, adding some median type devices to help prevent that crossing movement. So basically that gas station driveway is only right in, right out. Down on 29th, we're necking in that to just be a single right turn lane. We don't need 2 lanes. It's confusing. It'll still be signal controlled. There's some tweaks to that phasing that gives you that opportunity to get across and make the left onto Hollywood. And then also turning left onto 29th, headed northbound there, you see we still have our turn lane. And it works well with the phasing, and then we added that flashing yellow arrow, but that will be time of day. And so there will be some study about what times of day, is our traffic low enough that you have that clear sight to make that left.
And for the record, Captain Sutton and I tried to do that, I think, last term.
Yeah.
So that is something we've been looking at for a while. HPD was in support of as well.
So this would be able to implement that. You can see the sidewalk connections and crosswalks there, also up at the school corner, pulling that sidewalk back away from that edge of the curb just to give some buffer space there if somebody takes that turn too sharp. The wheels don't overtrack. Okay, let's keep moving south, about right there, that's good. I don't want to talk a ton about the pig because that hasn't happened yet. Only to say that you could see we've left that opening there within that left turn lane. Once again, that's a movement that can happen kind of behind that signal when there's a red holding the 31. It's kind of a free left turn movement. We want to reduce as much pressure off of the Oxmoor left turn as we can, so we kept that one. The goofy little triangles there in front of Courtney Drive, closing those medians, they are difficult to maneuver and create some safety concerns.
Yes, had an accident right there.
That's right. I mean, many people have.
I have
had
your data.
accidents right there.
Hey, Clark, can
Yeah.
I ask a quick question?
Sure.
And I've always wondered about this. Why is that angle so severe right there? Like, and you did that on Green Springs, and it's like, there's no way you can, why are they not a gradual
It would just
turn?
it would eat into the left turn lane the other way. I think, yeah. I mean,
That's just the way they're
it's
designed?
just kind of the way it was built, yeah.
Okay, because it doesn't go with the flow of driving, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the premise is that if you need to get over quicker, it gives you that room, but you would
Okay.
gradually
I was
merge
wondering
from
about
that.
why we designed it that way. It's Green Springs is the same way.
All right, Matthew, can you move over to Poinciana, Huntington, and Lancaster? Get that whole, there we go. Okay, big change here. So today, Poinciana, as you know, is signalized, and we do have a crosswalk there. Huntington is not, and then you'll see the Lancaster piece. And so what we want to do here is we can bring Huntington into that signal and serve that at the same time we serve Poinciana. So basically, we're not adding extra time to the signal. There's a couple seconds to help clear out the in-between space. But other than that, we're adding another left turn movement there without really impacting the flow on 31 further. To create some more space there, you can see we've closed the Lancaster median opening to create enough left turn storage there for Huntington. Of course, Lancaster connects fairly well back to the west. Does that make sense to everyone?
On that left turn, you would go into that island then? You see right there, between Poinciana and Huntington? Is that you left turn arrow?
Between Huntington and Lancaster?
Yeah, that one.
Yes. Yeah, there's no masking behind there, yeah, so that
Okay.
island would go away and be
Okay, that's
pavement,
fine.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, it's a lot of lines and
Yeah.
aerial.
A quick question about closing all the left turns, like that one to Lancaster
Mhm.
and the one that was onto Courtney.
Mhm.
If you're trying to take pressure off of left turn, like at Oxmoor, I don't understand why you wouldn't leave those open. You just think it's all about safety?
Well, I will also comment that Lancaster, the number one complaint I get all the time is cut through traffic on Lancaster. I mean, they complain nonstop about that.
So for this case, Lancaster is unsignalized today happening, and so, it was a fairly small volume, but be able to move those to Huntington with a signal, we get a net positive in the amount of left turns we can hold.
And I think
And
you
that's
cut,
out of the
I take
neighborhood.
that,
Yeah.
and I
That was-
avoid Oxmoor, it's 31.
Right.
That was
right.
out of the neighborhood. But what about Courtney? I mean.
So Courtney, there's no storage, left turn storage to
Okay.
turn left there, and so you're sitting out in the through lane.
Okay.
And so that, Matthew, will you scoot over just a little bit?
And that's
Other
right
way,
where I had
other
my,
way, other way.
people will
Back
like
towards the
dart
pit.
across, and that's when I had
But
my.
I feel like if there was a better turn, I mean, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
because I like to not have to go all the way down to
Sure.
Oxmoor sometime. And if there would, seemed like if there was more open and a better turn lane, but anyway, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we would eat into the Poinciana left
Okay.
in order to get the storage there.
Okay.
And then you can turn at the Pig, that little opening there, or of course, now the Huntington, one with a signal, with a
Okay.
turn arrow.
Okay.
Is everybody with me? Yeah, go ahead.
What's the reasoning for the second crosswalk there at Huntington?
You got
Uh,
a light there.
Yeah, I mean, it would now be
It's
signalized.
Signalized now.
You got a light.
There's not a crosswalk there now. Why
Well-
do we want people to cross right there as opposed to walking down and crossing it?
Well, that's what he's saying, is he's tying the two in together. I mean,
It'll
they're
be
both
signalized. It just-
signalized.
I
wouldn't put two
get that. What I'm
crosswalks.
asking is,
Why?
who's crossing right there as opposed to walking down a block and crossing?
You're like,
So-
why the need
You're going
for
to an
second?
orthodontist office and an MRI place.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, the crosswalk at the school, and let me just tell you, we're arguing with Aldot right now because they won't repaint the dang things.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm kind of with Alex there, like, do we need a crosswalk going to the parking lot for the Alabama allergy place?
So,
Ear, nose, and throat.
best
Yeah.
practice is for us when we have those opportunities, we can signalize them. They can happen within existing phasing is to maintain that connectivity because, tomorrow that may redevelop and become, some sort of destination that people would like more walking connectivity.
I personally don't think it's a great idea to send more people across in different areas of.
If it weren't 31, I wouldn't be as concerned. It just seems like, I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I mean, there's some logic to it. I just wonder if it's smart to do two that close together, getting across 31.
I agree with you there.
But
We can certainly take a look at that. Once again, it's still conceptual.
It wouldn't change, if you took it out, it still wouldn't change the phasing of the signals
No.
though. So it doesn't really hurt or help.
correct.
Right.
My only concern is pedestrians crossing in multiple spots, but.
I will tell you that I want to take whatever I can get from LDOT. So if LDOT's gonna, I mean, if they're gonna give us
No one wants
that.
to take more from LDOT.
I'm just saying that if,
But
That might not be a wise take.
well, for example, the light that was in front of Macy's at Windsor, that we had a light there, but we didn't have a crosswalk. And so how much, I mean, that took, 2 years for me to get a crosswalk with a push button and,
Yeah.
so.
I just think that is a lot of lanes for a pedestrian to cross when there is a
Let me put it
crosswalk.
a different way. If this were up at Mayfair, it'd make more sense to me because it's not one block away from the
We're
other.
not there yet.
So, well, my point is, you just got so many right there together, it just seems, I mean, you're just walking across Alabama outdoors to get to it, to get to the other one.
There's too many places for people.
But anyway, I'll wait till the end of the presentation.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, we can take it out. It's fine. I guess let's keep going towards Mayfair. So it may be difficult to see, but trying to continue and our crosswalks, the Mayfair one kind of stopped there, so we brought it to the corner. Of course, have our crosswalk there since it ends on that side of the road. We did not continue the sidewalk further. The road kind of shifts from curb and gutter to more of a shoulder with no curb from this point. And so it's kind of changing context a little bit. So bring the pedestrians to the western side of the road where that existing sidewalk is there.
Bring back bad memories.
And then also have the flashing yellow arrow at this intersection as well.
Are you creating a new right turn lane into that building?
No, we're not. That's still existing shoulder space.
So, Clark, where's the flashing yellow gonna be on 31 turning onto Mayfair?
Yeah, the two left turns
two
from
left, okay,
31.
okay.
That's correct.
Okay. But the one that's coming off of Mayfair onto 31, that'll stay a green signal light?
Yes, because
Okay.
those happen together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay, Matthew, if you'll zoom out a little, and we'll come down to Salter, which is a problem like no other, as far as my mind. So our sidewalk does continue, and it ends there at Salter, and that's kind of the end of our sidewalks on this project. Quite difficult to add them further, and I think we were starting to get into some challenges in balancing everyone's desires on this project. So we're moving in more into an access management type way. So Salter's a challenge. I'm sure everybody's tried to cross there. You have the offset and the skew. We spent a lot of time looking at this, and unless the city is interested in purchasing some businesses and properties, we're very, very limited in the options. And so really the main goal here is let's reduce, if we can, which we don't get a ton, but reduce just open asphalt. You can see some of our little triangles on the turns. Let's limit some of the driveways that are actually inside of the intersection. You can see all of our green there. It's somewhat conceptual, but the idea there is to close that since they have direct access to Salter there. And then really the recommendation is really maintain good striping for those little tick marks through the intersection. I think those are really important at this intersection especially. So not adding the permissive left turn or the flashing yellow arrow here. We're not adding that. You don't have good sight distance. And especially if you're turning left onto Old Montgomery there, you can see how long those tick mark lines would be. And so that left turn movement takes you a lot longer than a normal left turn movement takes. And that puts drivers in a position where they may take a gap that normally would work, but this takes more time and that gap doesn't work, and they end up out there in the middle. Walter, do you have a
So
question?
you looked at pushing the right, I mean, so we can't do a right turn lane coming off Salter.
Yeah, you can see I saw.
You just
I,
can't.
I copied and
But that-
pasted
that's
Raleigh
okay.
right there. Yeah, that's
Just like on Valley.
yeah.
And there's not enough room.
There's a big slope from Salter
know.
down into that business.
Okay.
So, I mean, some of this was somewhat budget-minded of, we, even if we had the right-of-way, building walls and things for that would be quite
really
expensive and
bleed.
difficult, yeah.
But you are creating a new right turn on the Salter there of sorts with that median.
That's existing.
No, that's
It's already
now.
there.
That's
Yeah.
there now.
It's already there.
But they're
Is
adding
that
a little-
median there?
That little pork chop, little triangle is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm
Threw
saying.
that in
It's
there just-
more
The
defined.
lane is there,
Just-
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little bit
no, I knew
more
that. I
specific.
meant-
That's to help kind of define. It feels today, that right turn feels like it keeps going because there's like open shoulder
People
across
do
the
it all the time,
intersection.
they think they're gonna continue
Yeah,
on
and
that
so
way.
that's where we're pulling that
That's
edge,
definitely
that edge way out to really kind of try and tightening up things is an important piece of this.
I wish there was the right turn lane coming out of the neighborhood going north, right, John? That was with me all the time, he was stuck behind,
That's a tough intersection.
yeah.
It's a
yeah.
tough one.
So,
Yeah. So we can keep going. So there's two main median openings. This could kind of, Matthew, you might want to just twist it so everybody's necks start feeling better. There we go. Okay, is everybody still oriented?
Yeah, that's the apartment complex right there.
Yeah, so the two median openings there's a number of lines happening, but we've kind of formulated the northbound one, you have that left turn into the apartments to the bottom of the window, and then the one on the south side, on the southbound side of the road, of course you have the left turn up there into those, I think, medical office buildings. Just keep those in mind as we get down to the next one, but really just giving one movement at each of those intersections. So it should, because of the connectivity behind, still serve the same.
How do you get into the Y? Did you change that?
The Y is further
Okay.
further south.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Clark,
we
can I ask one quick question?
Sure.
Currently, from the apartment complex, I only know this because I've delivered meals and wheels to people there. You can come out of the apartment complex, go through the median to go.
Turn left, right.
Right, is that no longer gonna
So,
be?
right, so the request would be you turn right and then get in that other median
And then
there
do a
just
U-turn.
make your little
Okay,
U-turn.
gotcha, gotcha.
So,
Thank
All right, let's look at Old Montgomery, another very similar to Salter, very wide intersection, offset and skewed. A lot of traffic on the bottom side of the sheet, not as much on the top side. And so today there is no southbound left turn allowed, or supposedly, from 31 onto Old Montgomery to the top of the sheet. And so what we did is we brought that median forward, and just instead of it being hatched out, we just went ahead and brought it all the way forward there. You can see our stop bar, you can see the existing one by that car, and you can see how far forward we brought it. That once again makes this intersection a lot more compact. It makes it operate a little more efficiently and a little bit safer without having just no man's land of asphalt. Coming out of Old Montgomery, today you can use that signal and kind of negotiate out in the middle with the people coming from like Lakeshore Foundation, who's turning and all that. We went ahead and eliminated that movement. So you cannot go straight towards Lakeshore Foundation or turn left and go to the Y. The request there would be that you either turn right here and make that U-turn in the median, or of course Old Montgomery connects up at the Salter intersection with a signalized left turn.
So you're saying you will no longer go straight across from Old Montgomery?
From, yeah, the Hollywood neighborhood towards Lakeshore Foundation. We maintain the left turn and the straight across from Lakeshore Foundation into Hollywood. And this is one of the ones which is probably balanced more on the ALDOT operational side. This intersection actually has a lot of operational impact in the morning periods and afternoon. And so you'll see it kind of a bit of a choke point on this end of the corridor.
Their kids can't get to the high school.
You think this,
It's like a trade-off.
families not gonna complain about that? Families aren't complaining that they can't cross?
So it's a trade-off, you know.
I think there's gonna be a bunch of high school parents who are gonna be happy.
Kids in Hollywood go to high school that way.
Yeah,
Or
cause
they-
they,
they cross it
That's
on
a
the
good
right
work
side.
for.
So would they be able to go to Salter and turn left?
I think that's,
Or they go out Rumson and go to
Yeah,
Lakeshore.
I'm not saying that they should be able to do this, I'm just telling you that's
They're
what
gonna be ticked off if they can't.
That's gonna be the concern, I'm not, you know, I'm okay if it takes them, they have to go another route, but that's,
we're just getting a lot of complaints about that.
that's going to be a
Traffic
complaint.
at that time of the morning too.
be a lot of people already perturbed. And I will say, what it'll do is it's gonna stack up that intersection coming out of Hollywood and Salter, cause that is a curvy thing. And that light takes forever. It's gonna back traffic up on that street.
Or they're gonna go down, I would assume.
Or they'll
Go
just,
down.
Go down
They
Lake.
cut through them.
yeah, or they're gonna cut through that business.
Cut through the parking lot.
Yeah, they're gonna cut through parking lots. That's exactly what they
I mean, the other way to go from there, you know, is go down to Rumson and turn right
Yeah.
down Lakeshore.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, that's
fine.
right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the way, I mean, a
Should go.
very large amount of people go that way to the high school.
The only last piece I'll add is you can see there's a right turn lane that's added in to turn left on to go towards Lakeshore Foundation here. And that's the end of the study area for the project. There's nothing further south of there.
And when do you have to have the grant to them?
So ATRIPP applications are due November 17th.
Sorry?
November 17th?
Yep.
Okay.
And so we
So
we
we
would
need to
want
get
to,
going.
it's really beneficial to have, of course, city resolutions
Sure.
supporting
You
that.
said what, November 17th?
November
This
17th.
is when they're
Is the
due.
deadline?
They
Okay.
wouldn't select till mid-January they
Mid-January.
select.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how many do they typically do? Is there a set number? or
It's
is it
usually up to a certain budget max.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
This year they've allocated, I believe, 40 million.
Okay.
Projects are capped at two.
Two.
So ostensibly, you're looking at around 20
20.
million statewide,
Okay.
give or
20
take. You're gonna have a
20
couple that are
projects.
smaller, a couple that where people throw a larger match, but
Okay.
give or take, you're gonna be in that 20 project range per cycle.
Thanks, Clark. Can you explain about the different buckets in ALDOT and how
Yeah,
where
so
this is coming from?
the ATRIPP program is funded through the Rebuild Alabama Act. So the gas tax, this comes out of a very different bucket. It's picked and selected by a committee in Montgomery. It is really outside of kind of the east central region of Aldite that, typically y'all would coordinate with as far as buckets of, budgets and things like that.
Hey, Matthew, what's your last name?
Burgess?
Burgess, thank you.
Very-
We just needed it for the record.
Sure thing.
All right, so what we're looking for is a motion to approve pursuing the ATRIPP grant. And that's what you need, okay. I would make a motion to approve submitting a ATRIPP II grant application.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Smith, second by Counselor Allen.
Take care about Hollywood.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 4-0, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark.
All right, let's go ahead and take care of.
We have 5 here, don't we?
Yes,
We do.
5.
We have
Oh, I'm
5.
sorry,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. 5-0. 5-0, that passes. 03-10-23, request to set bid opening for communication services. You're
I
looking
would-
for the
Yes,
date of
I
what?
would like just to propose setting a bid at, so tonight's the 16th, we'll approve this on the 23rd. Mike, we need 2 weeks, is that what we said?
That's just
Typical.
There's no set time.
So I would propose setting the bid opening date for November the 6th, which is actually a committee night at 4:30 or 4:31.
Sixth is
That's a council.
night because we're.
Oh, right.
We've got like
Double
1,000 public hearings that night.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But that's okay,
Yeah, I mean, it's still fine,
Yeah,
but,
that's
it's
right,
still
yes,
bid
because
years.
we're doing committees on the
You can say
30th.
it's public
Yeah,
meetings,
okay,
that's
so
fine.
still wanna set the bid opening date for that night at 4:31, I guess, and have the bids due at 4:30. And I would just like, to take the, opportunity briefly, just to say, what an amazing partner Brian has been with us for the last few years. Having to rewrite the bid specs because he essentially accomplished everything that was on the initial spec sheet. And just a few highlights, he took us from our city domain name of Homewood AL dot whatever the heck it was, to cityofhomewood.com, which makes a lot more sense. And he built Berkeley a new website, won an award for our website in 2022, right? Was it 2022? I think, yeah. Built and launched our citizens portal on the website, which has been fantastic. And then just, keeps us in line during all of our meetings. So I'm very thankful to you, Brian, for all that you have done. Would like to set that bid opening date for November 6th at 4:31.
One question real quick, just so I understand how to do the agenda. So, when it's gonna go out to council, and then on the 30th, are y'all gonna send it out without recommendations, so y'all can do something at council on the 6th with it, or are you gonna want it to stay in committee?
No,
'Cause
it'll have to come back to committee after the sixth.
Okay, yeah. We'll
We'll
have to come back to
If the
committee.
bids are open on the sixth, it'll have to come back to committee.
Right.
Is it gonna stay here though on the 30th, if I say we're gonna have to finance it again, because they're not gonna have to bid openings yet?
Yes,
It's
it'll
gonna
stay
stay here.
It'll just be
You're
carried
not gonna try to
over.
do something on the 6th at council meeting?
No.
No.
All that will happen, it'll just be a coincidence that the
But it-
bids are open on the same night as the council.
That's what I was
Right,
asking.
yeah. Because it technically normally wouldn't be a council night, but we've just changed our
Okay,
schedule.
so the motion has been made, nobody has seconded.
Tell me again what your motion was
To set the bid opening for November the 6th at 4:31 p.m.
for the communications.
For the communications
With them
services.
due at
Okay.
4:30.
With them due,
I would second that motion.
Moved by Counselor Smith, second by Counselor Harden. Any questions? Thank you for your work on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, by the same sign. 5-0.
I think so.
yes.
Okay. 5-0. Okay, moving up to the top, 2006-23, request for consideration of city manager. Do we have a timeline on that?
Yeah, so what we need to start considering is the statute requires us to get a petition done. And we, rather than have, the easiest way to do that is to hire someone to do it. And so I think we're going to start looking into groups that can handle that, so that we can, because the petition has to be done a certain way.
Right.
And it's gotta have certain people on it, because you have to be a voter in the last election, you gotta get so many. I don't anticipate there's gonna be a problem to get the petition, it's just a matter of getting the work done. So, I think that's probably the next thing. That determines the timing of their referendum. So what I would say is do that. We've already got the state sort of working on the lines, and hopefully those things will kind of merge, and then we can go, we'll know in a little while when the referendum can be, depending on how those two things play.
How many signatures do we need for the petition?
I can't remember. It was 10% of what we voted in the last election, municipal election.
How many percent?
10.
10%.
Yeah. So
10% of the total votes, or 10%?
Total people who
10% of the voters.
That actually voted last.
Correct.
Be 1,781.
Wow.
That was specific.
Stunning us all with our.
That's what
math
You know what, we
over
don't know whether he's telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't fact check.
Awesome.
Hey, people.
My wife says I do it all the time.
I'm gonna write that down and see how close I am.
Fairly close.
Okay, so we will carry this over for that work to be done, and we'll keep this in committee. Okay, 02/08/23, bid opening date for October 30th for revised paving project, so we're gonna carry that over pending the bid opening date on the 30th. 01/09/23, bid opening date, same time, 4/31 on October 30th for as-needed drainage pipe rehab. All this has been sent out, so we're carrying that over pending the bid opening date. 13/09/23, request to amend FY 22-23 budgets. We're gonna carry that over. We don't have that information at this moment, but we'll carry it over for the next meeting. 14/09/23, request to consider changes to credit card purchasing policies, and Counselor Smith
Yes.
sent that out today.
I did. I sent out just kind of my general suggestions to the Finance Committee. I have kind of redlined the existing policy. So basically what I told everybody is the main points are reducing the number of cards down to just the department heads. And with the language in there that the department head will have the ability to authorize and approve use of that department card for their employees, just knowing that they'll have that responsibility of making sure that the things that are being purchased with the card are appropriate and the uses will be spelled out in here. I'd like to eliminate the specificity of naming the card, because Carlos and I were talking before. I'm pretty sure that First Horizon has now absorbed Iberia, or they're in the process of that. So instead of us having a specific card listed in the policy, when that could change periodically, let's just make it a credit card, city credit card, generically, so that we don't have to make that change, because there was on the old policy, it was like scratched out and written differently, and scratched out again and written differently. So just make that general city credit card. We didn't, in the part that talks about how the cards are to be used for travel, it basically says when used for travel, only the employee's expenses that are eligible for reimbursement are authorized to be charged on this card. Well, it didn't specify what's authorized to be charged. So I'd like to make that more specific in terms of what is covered for travel, and that would be for a conference, that would be the conference registration fees, that would be your transportation to the conference, whether that be airfare or mileage, gas, if you're driving, and then also your lodging.
And I guess just ground transportation, like Ubers and taxis.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
If you're in a city and you need to Uber, yes, that would be, fall under that transportation, and I'll add that in. I'll just put ride share services.
Do we have in there how much how much the mileage is per IRS regulations?
Well, they did.
It usually says based on IRS, cause it changes every
It
year.
does not say that in here, it does not say that in here at all, but I think we should add it, and the IRS did increase that rate, for travel this year to I think it's 65 cents a mile.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be going on the card anyway.
Well.
Yeah, that's a reimbursement, that's a
So
reimbursement.
that's just that's what says our mileage reimbursement policy says.
Yeah,
it's
but,
subject to IRS.
but
And
I'm assuming, cause, well, I know, employees who have credit cards have used their credit cards for gas purchases.
City vehicles, and then they're not getting the mileage reimbursement.
Right, exactly, you're either.
one or the other.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but if it's an employee, for instance, if it's an employee who maybe, well, they're gonna submit their miles, so we don't need to necessarily spell that.
Did you say the, like, meals would go
Well,
on the card or not? Because
so if you don't have a credit, you're supposed to submit reimbursement for
Right.
meals. You're supposed to turn in your receipts, and which is what
Correct.
most
yeah, I mean,
employees
I've been a
do.
state employee, we had a certain
Right.
amount we were covered for
Right.
lodging up to this amount, anything over, you're responsible
Now,
for.
I will say this, there are no, in this policy currently, there are no limits on what you can spend on lodging.
I think
If
we
somebody has
should
a
consider it.
suggestion.
How you gonna do that? So that, we go to a conference and it's set at a certain.
You may
place,
have to stay
you
at a
get
certain
rate,
place.
And it's over that, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll stay at the house, bro, I ain't going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gonna dictate that,
Yeah, I mean, that's
hard to
that's a
do.
real hard one, because most of them, a lot of these conferences require you to stay at the place where the conference is being held, and you don't really necessarily have an ability to affect what that rate is gonna be.
I mean,
Is there any way that we can have language that says that they should stay at the conference sponsor hotel or less than? I mean, just because sometimes.
I'll give you an example, like, I just came back from Dallas. We got 8,200 people there. The conference place to the hotel there
Sold out.
only hosts about 900.
Right.
So everybody else is around downtown.
Okay.
I didn't wanna pay what I paid for a hotel room, but if not, I'm staying 30 minutes outside of Dallas and then I gotta Uber in every day.
Right.
So I could walk from where I was.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, I will say, I'm calling the conferences as well, and
Yeah, and I will.
sometimes, to Berkeley's point, sometimes the hotel that the conference is being hosted at is booked out.
Right.
So you try and find something that's close.
Closer, so that you can still
But most of the
participate in all the
time,
events.
something that's closer.
Especially if you're
like
in a
that was-
city
yeah,
and
I mean,
you,
that's the biggest thing. I mean,
Right.
most of these now in the bigger city. I mean, I don't have no issue with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
needs to be clear by the mayor or whoever. I don't.
Right.
I kinda
Yeah.
like Carlos's point, cause I think most of the time the conference hotel price is probably gonna be the higher of
right.
something
Well, and
surrounding,
it
but-
says in here that, I mean, it says with an appropriate, so, I mean, obviously, we don't want people to, yep, sorry.
And just in my experience with the conference hotel is the lowest one.
Yeah, that's
because
usually- 'cause
they're
that's the
getting-
rate.
They're getting a
Yeah.
rate, you're getting
Right.
a rate because they're getting.
The group
con-
rate.
Everybody else
the
is-
conference there, so every time I have to stay around,
It's more expensive.
it's more expensive.
Yeah, right.
That'd be my concern.
Okay, so I'm not gonna worry about that, I did not include that in here, but in the meal question is, most employees, when they're traveling, obviously they would book their travel with the credit card from their department head. Meals would be on them, and they would submit their receipts back for reimbursement like they do now, I mean, that's what most people do now. There would just be fewer people with credit cards to pay with credit cards. But, if someone is using a credit card for meals, they would be subject to whatever that limit is, and we need to do that, because that is separate, the, reimbursement rate is a separate item from the credit card policy. I know Andy looked up when we were talking about this last time, he looked up the Jefferson County, rate, which I think was like $69,
That's right.
somewhere around there, it was like
70,
70 something.
yeah.
And then I looked at the Alabama State employee, and they have a kind of more complicated policy, because it's, you can spend up to this amount if you're in a city this size, if you're this much, if you're in a city this size. I don't think we need anything that complicated. I think theirs was no less than $75 a day, which I think is a
Yeah,
fair,
that's.
a fair amount, which would,
No
again, that
less
would.
or no greater.
I think
more
ours
than
would just be
75.
75. Theirs said no less than 75, but I think ours would just be 75 across the board. Yeah, up to $75 a day. And that, like, Robert said in an email that he sent to us, that doesn't roll to the next day. It's just $75 per day. But that would be a separate item from the credit card policy. We'd have to do that in a different resolution. And then, the only other things would be that we would, require itemized receipts, to be submitted, and they would, all the normal things would be, in place. You know, you can't use, a city credit card to purchase alcohol, which is pretty standard across the board for any kind of, you know, corporate or whatever kind of credit card. And then submit your itemized receipts, which is, this says you have to submit stuff, but we just haven't really been doing that, so just kind of making sure that that happens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we landed. What I can do is redline this, this policy and send it out to everybody so that everybody can see what exactly we're talking about and make sure that everybody's comfortable with it. For us to vote on either next Monday or whenever everybody feels comfortable with the
All right,
final
thank you.
product.
I know it's been a lot of work.
And,
Important, but thank
if it, and does everybody feel pretty comfortable with $75 as our reimbursement rate? We're not calling it a per diem, it's not a per diem.
Unless Jen recommends the rest of
Unless my dad. My dad.
Don't get recommendations from Jennifer's dad.
That's right.
Yeah, and
That should be part of the
and
policy.
to your point, we should not call it a per diem.
Right, yeah,
Right.
it is a reimbursement rate for,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so you'll send out red lines
I
and
will.
we'll carry this over,
Yeah.
one more time?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you for your help.
Absolutely.
Okay, last item, 01-10-23, request to fund senior engineering inspector position, the mayor and Cale.
So this was for a position that you guys approved, a new position on June 26th, and we have the list, and it just has to be funded. It's for the senior engineering inspector position.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? You really need this position?
Do I really need it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So we have a lot of projects that are about to start, so some sidewalk projects, some stormwater projects, and this position will be responsible for monitoring those from the city standpoint, sort of like be the eyes and the ears for the contractor. Since I've been here, we haven't had anybody. So Salter Park is under construction right now, and I've been by there once, but they've been going nonstop for 2 weeks now.
You're doing a great job, though.
Yeah, they are, and we've been fortunate to have really good and responsive contractors and honest contractors.
Do you know, is there a list? Do you know if there's a good list?
There is a good list.
There is a good list. Awesome, great. Okay, well, I've moved, so, and second.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign, 5-0. And I don't think we have anything on the table. And you're done, we're done.